here in the beautiful USF Botanical Gardens with our former intern, Julia Poholek.
Hi.
She spent a whole semester with us, even maybe a little bit longer, writing lots of great articles that we loved, where she did peer-to-peer conversations and interviewed students who were involved in various parts of experiential learning. But what I thought was so interesting when I met you was that you hadn't yet taken a traditional service learning class.
Yeah.
And now we found out when you came by and visited that you're actually in one right now.
Yeah, I was writing these pieces and I hadn't had any experience with it myself. So
Did it pique your interest when you were writing the articles?
It did, because I was interviewing these people and they were all telling me how helpful it was to them to have a hands-on experience that transcended just what they were learning in the classroom. So I thought to myself, well, I want to do this too. Maybe I can try to squeeze a class in before I graduate, and I did. It's ethics of food production, and I'm so happy I did, because it's really opened my eyes to a new level of learning.
It's so fantastic. Julia came by our office and started talking about her class, and I thought, well, we've got to interview you about this.
It was convenient.
Yeah,
for sure.
It really was. So we talk a lot about how service learning classes can be transformative for students. So can you talk about some of the changes that you felt? You already went into it with a strong interest, but what are some of the things that have come out of being in the class?
Well, my strong interest coming in was definitely about plant-based lifestyles and plant-based sustainability methods. So with that under my belt already, being a vegan myself, I just sought to understand more of what it was that I was already in. I wanted to make sure that I was making informed decisions at the market. Something that we focused on a lot is that you're voting with your dollar when you're in the grocery store. And you're really, whatever you're buying and whatever you're purchasing, you're saying, I approve of this and I support it. So I wanted to make sure that whatever we were learning here, I could apply it to my own life and the things that I purchase myself. So it's definitely taught me about what I should be buying, plant-based wise, and that there are ways to do things that are more sustainable than others.
I think there's this big irony of the people who are picking our fruits and vegetables who then ultimately can't necessarily afford to eat these really healthy foods, and some of those things I think they're probably important that came out of the class as well.
Right, absolutely. We learned about workers' rights, we learned about fair trade, we learned about everything pertaining to the food industry and what happens behind the scenes of the food industry that we might not be so exposed to in our day-to-day lives.
And I think we were talking about sort of how social media has really changed our view, because I think we are getting to more of a tipping point about what we're doing with our food, and then how food impacts so many aspects of our infrastructure and culturally and politically. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Food is something that is non-discriminatory. It affects all of us multiple times a day. So naturally you would assume that we would be making choices that are educated and informed and having the best effect not only on our personal bodies and our sociocultural values, but on those around us. So everything that we do food-wise affects someone or something else, whether that's a human, a worker, or the animal, or the people working in these factories. It's definitely political. There are lots of moving parts, but I think at its base we have to understand that what we're doing day to day ourselves, while it seems like a small act, is affecting things on a much grander scale.
Beautifully put. So that's one of the things that I love so much about service learning, is that it kind of makes activists. I mean, people really become awake to all of the issues by getting involved. And what was it about the service here at the Botanical Gardens that you think maybe added to the transformative aspects of the class?
Growing things at the Botanical Gardens has been such an experience for someone who, I am a vegan, but I had never grown food myself. I had never really looked into genetically modified growing methods, or sustainable ones at that. So learning about how to grow organic, that's something we touched on really hard in the class. It was really satisfying and a different kind of experience entirely to be so hands-on with the plants. Instead of going to the market and just picking up something so like sterilized and pre-packaged and plastic wrapped, we were eating it straight out of the ground. In our garden we grew kale and spinach and snow peas and some other things, but we picked our snow peas right out of the ground and ate them, and they were fresher and better than anything I've had previously. And it's just that, it's that level of it being hands-on is a chance to see from a first-hand perspective how it's different than other ways of acquiring that product.
Mm-hmm. Or even acquiring that knowledge. That's what I love about service learning, is you could have read about all the aspects of your own food production, but you actually did it.
Exactly. A textbook can only go so far, and it really, especially with this kind of class where we're talking about being out on the land, sort of a return to the land kind of concept, and you're growing things yourself, you really have to be there and see it to understand the full implications of what you're studying, I think. And I definitely saw it in my classmates too.
Well, once again, you have been so informational for students, with your peer-to-peer conversations, and then being able to tell everybody about your own experience in service learning. So I'm really happy that you came by our office to visit and told me all about your great experience in the class.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.